Well, a decision by the Oklahoma Attorney General led to the state's transportation secretary resigning this week. In this morning's Your Vote Counts, state leaders say it was the right choice because it's what the law says. Here's part 2 of Your Vote Counts.
And welcome back to Your Vote Counts. Time for the legal analysis section of the program each week. The Attorney General this week had an interesting observation. It set a lot of dominoes in place and people coming off of the cabinet secretary situations. Unpack it for us, Counselor.
Yeah, so here's what happened. The Attorney General for the state of Oklahoma based his decision, and I think it was a good decision. It's what the law says. You have to follow the law as the AG, that you couldn't be Secretary of Transportation and Secretary of the Turnpike Authority at the same time. Now, what it's important to note is when the AG issues opinion, I actually know he gave Secretary Gatz, who is a wonderful public servant, a heads up. But it's important not to overreact to that opinion. Just because it applies to Secretary Gatz doesn't mean it applies to everyone else. I think we need to be moving forward and make sure if there's changes in the law that need to be passed, we need to do that. We need to analyze all of our dual office secretary positions. And frankly, good job on the AG. I mean, I doubt this was the answer he wanted. But at the end of the day, when you're the Attorney General of the state of Oklahoma, as Justice Scalia said, you are a slave to the law. What the law is, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, there's not a lot of legal analysis left in Oklahoma media, and this is an interesting case that has lots of ramifications.
Yeah, well, let's remember that this came about because Senator Mary Boren from the Norman area asked for an opinion of the Attorney General on whether or not Tim Gatz, who was Secretary of Transportation, Executive Director of Oklahoma Department of Transportation, and Executive Director of Oklahoma Turnpike Authority, could have all three of those roles. The Attorney General said no. What was interesting in that is we've had this happen before in the past, but there was not an Attorney General opinion. So that's the important piece here, is that a state senator had asked for the opinion, the Attorney General gave it, and this is where we are with Secretary Gatz resigning.
All right, well, interesting to see how that fallout continues. It was deadline week. The legislature hit a deadline that has to be done. And looky here. There was a situation where there's a very handsome man with the floor leader out there at the Capitol this week being a page. Jason, what's going on here?
Yeah, well, you know, it's one of those super proud dad moments where your son gets to come up to the Capitol. He was a page this week. And just the opportunity for him to spend time with Floor Leader Echols and many other reps that I used to serve with was just great. I mean, you know, you can't beam anymore as a father. But also deadline week, and deadline week for bills that were to get out of committee. So if you didn't get a bill out of committee this week, then those bills are dead pursuant to the rules. We're going to go into a 2-week period here where we have deadline to get bills of origin off the House floor in the Senate. It's going to get busy and maybe a little bumpy over the next 2 weeks.
And arguably, Luca is much better looking than his dad. No doubt about that. And you were there with Luca this week. Leader, deadline bill week means what?
Well, first, I loved having Luca Dunnington at the Capitol. He did a great job. And one of the things we talk about on this show, what we want to show is you can be strong in your convictions and still like each other. We need more of that in this country and in this state. But what deadline week means, any bill that didn't come out of committee last week is dead, or as I like to call it, dead-ish. There is nothing dead in that building so long as we are still constitutionally in session. But this was the first big hurdle that killed a lot of bill numbers. Now, there may be some language you can look to pop up later, but remember, the legislature is designed to kill legislation, not pass it.
Note to editors, when your reporters write stories that say the bill is dead, ain't no such thing. You just heard it here. Hey, thanks for watching Your Vote Counts. And see this again at news9.com and newson6.com, and follow me at Mitchell Talks.